What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we're talking buzz baits. We're going to cover some key baits, some key styles of buzz baits, some different styles of buzz baits, when to use them. Here we go. How many of you guys like throwing top water in the summertime? You know, right here on Clear Lake, it is the perfect time to be throwing a buzz bait. To me, the perfect time to be throwing a buzz bait is when the grass is just below the surface. You know, a buzz bait like this, it's gonna run with the hook points up out of the water. So you can come right across the top of that grass, just inches above the grass, and call those fish up. A buzz bait is a topwater bait that creates a lot of commotion, a lot of sound to draw those big fish up. But why are there so many different kinds? Why are there some with clackers, some that are head knockers? We're gonna cover all that today and when you should throw each type. Number one, the most common type of buzz bait is gonna be a single blade buzz bait with some sort of clacker. Something that makes a lot of noise, metal on metal, that really draws fish in. And there's several types. This is a Jackal, I think this is called the firecracker. It's actually got the blade up top and a second blade down here that spins subsurface, and the blades hit and make that metal clanking noise. This one right here, this is actually a D&M. This one comes with a big old ball knocker on it that I actually cut off to make this a silent, more finesse buzz bait. Later in this video, I'm gonna get into why I do that, when and where we fish that stuff, that sort of thing. But just know that the most common buzz bait is gonna be a single blade with a clacker. Probably the second most common is gonna be a double buzz. Double buzz, two props, creates a lot of commotion. The benefit to this guy right here is you can fish it a lot slower than all the other buzz baits. 99% of the buzz baits on the market do not float. So the second that you stop reeling, they sink subsurface and get down into that junk that you're trying to fish over the top of. One tip, I'm gonna show you guys how to cast, thumb the spool, quit the spool rotations, and then engage the reel handle and start reeling just before this bait hits the water. So when it hits, it's going and stays on the surface. You get a lot better presentation that way. You don't catch a lot of junk, but I'll cut to a clip like that later on in the video. But again, double buzz bait is another phenomenal buzz bait. You could just fish it a lot slower. When you're targeting these big, large grass flats out here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there is grass as far as I can see, but it's all 4 to 6 inches below the surface. You know, here in the next week or two, with the water dropping, the grass growing up, it's gonna get closer and closer to the surface. You know, baits like a whopper plopper that have the treble hooks hanging down, you won't be able to fish those over or through this stuff because you're just gonna get hung up every cast. That is where a buzz bait shines. So again, single buzz with a clacker is gonna be the most common. If you're gonna get into buzzbait fishing, go out and get yourself one of those. Just like every video, I'll link some of our favorites down below in the video description. So single buzz with a clacker. This one right here is actually a head knocker. The cool thing about buzzbaits is you can adjust the head on it, the arm, if you will. This piece right here, you can adjust the angle. The lower the angle, the faster the buzzbait's gonna be. But with this guy right here, this is actually called a head knocker, and it's meant for this blade to hit the actual head of the bait itself. You can see all that paint is chipped off right there. So you bend this down and you get the sound that you want, so that when this blade is turning, when this bait is coming through the water, that blade is clicking or clacking the head every time. So when and where? Typically a buzzbait, you think of a buzzbait, you think of a real loud, metal, tingy, clangy type of sound, right? You want that thing squeaking and clacking and drawing fish from as far as possible. There's a buzzbait in there somewhere. That is great in murky or dingy water, or there's not a lot of good visibility. Open water, you call those fish from a long ways. But let's say you're in the back of a pocket or back somewhere where it is quiet, the water's a little bit clearer, it may be a highly pressured body of water, those sort of things, that is where I'm gonna go with a silent buzzbait. You know, you still get that that sound of the blade plopping through the water. You just don't have the clacker, you don't have that metal clanky sound. I actually went ahead and threw a rage toad on the back of this. It keeps that bait, it makes it plane easier, so it keeps the rear end of the bait up and out of the water, and the feet add a little extra kick to it. But you can see this thing spins, it is quiet. The fish can hear it, it's not overbearing, it's not too much. And some of my biggest buzzbait fish ever have come on a real subtle buzzbait. Again, this is the DNM. It comes with a big metal clacker on here. I just click it off, cut it off. I like that plastic prop on it, plastic blade. Again, this is a very special buzzbait that if you're fishing clear water, highly pressured water, and you still want to give them that buzzbait presentation, look into getting this guy right here. Another buzzbait that is one of my absolute favorite buzzbaits to throw in this situation, but around docks, is gonna be this guy right here. This is actually a buzzbait created by Dirty Jigs. It's got a weighted head on it. So I pair this up with a 4.8 Kitech. The benefit to this buzzbait, now there's a lot of copies out on the market now, but it was one of the first ones ever that you could skip. So perfect conditions. You got the grass just coming up just below the surface, something you can't throw a whopper plopper or that type or style of bait, something with the treble hooks down. You can't skip them. You can get this bait, skip it back there. This skip's awesome. Skip it all the way back there, engage that reel, and get that top water buzzbait presentation back up under laydowns, up under docks, on those shade lines of docks where you can't throw a normal buzzbait. You just can't, you can't skip it, you can't get it under there. So I like to pair that up with a 4.8 swimbait. Sometimes I'll put a Zoom horny toad or a rage toad on it, but that's typically the different styles of buzzbaits. You know, there's 100 different models, tons of different brands of buzzbaits on the market, but these are the ones that we have confidence in. Probably my two favorite. If I'm fishing around docks, it's absolutely this guy right here. That you can't beat it. It's a great combination. But if I'm fishing open water, it's gonna be one of these two guys. Either the double buzz. Again, you can go a lot slower. Real big V, real big presentation on the water. Draws those fish from a long ways away. Real squeaky. You can get them with or without clackers. That's totally up to you. But this one's actually a Braybeck buzzbait. This is a guy and his son that live here locally on Clear Lake, and been throwing them for years. And these things handle big Clear Lake bass. They should handle bass in your bodies of water as well. But this is another awesome double buzz. And then again, this guy right here, this is the DNM with the plastic blade with the clacker removed. You can leave it on there. You guys could play around with the clacker. Again, if you have dirty water, murky water, low light, something like that, go with the clacker. It'll just make it easier for those fish to hone in on. So those are buzzbaits, some tips. Let me cut to a clip real quick to help you guys casting a buzzbait, because like I said, when you fire out any of these buzzbaits, they're gonna hit the water and sink. Now, if you're fishing an area like this where you have water just a couple inches under the surface, you make a bomber cast, now you're reeling that buzzbait in over the surface with a bunch of junk hanging off the back, and it just ruined your whole presentation, probably spooked some fish. So let's cut to that clip right here. One tip about casting a double buzz. You know, these things sink, so the sooner you can get your reel engaged when this lure hits the water, the better. You don't want this thing sinking down and getting stuck in the grass that you're trying to fish. So what I do, I actually will take my thumb and I will hit the spool just before the bait touches the water. 6 inches to a foot before the buzzbait hits the water. I will stop the spool from spinning and engage my handle. Stop, reel. That keeps the bait up on the surface and not down in the junk that you're trying to fish over the top of. You don't want to engage your handle with the spool still spinning. It's just not good on the reel. Here we go again. Thumb, reel. Instantly that bait's on the surface and coming towards me with that great buzzbait sound. So hopefully that casting tip helps you guys with your buzzbait fishing. Again, fire it out there, and just before that bait is gonna hit the surface, thumb your spool. Quit that rotation of your spool. You don't want that spool spinning when you engage that handle, just gears grinding, and it's just no good. So stop the spool, engage the reel, and start reeling, and that'll hit the water, the surface, and just start working, getting those blades going and up on the surface. That is a tip that will really help you guys buzzbait fishing. So there are some different styles of buzzbaits, different sounds, different actions, different speeds. Let's talk gear real quick. Very easy. You can throw a buzzbait on a jig rod or a frog rod. Biggest thing with a buzzbait is throw it on braid. 50 to 65 pound braid, depending on the size of the fish you're after and the type of structure that you're going to be fishing around. You don't want to use light braid if you're fishing around trees, branches, that sort of stuff. You don't want to break off, so go with 65 if you can. I typically use a burner reel, either a 7-to-1, 7-2-to-1, something like that, 8-to-1, whatever brand it may be. Get something with a higher gear ratio. It'll make your life a lot easier when you're throwing a buzzbait throughout the day, covering miles of water. But there you guys have it. There's a little intro to some buzzbaits, summer buzzbaiting, the conditions that I like to look for when to throw a buzzbait, and the conditions that I like to adjust my buzzbaits to. If you guys learned something from this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you guys haven't already, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way you guys know when we put out a video. Monday, Wednesday, Friday like clockwork, and we also throw in an additional bonus video or two sometimes throughout the month. Again, we appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.